This week on the Digital Marketing Scoop, we're talking Twitter for your business with Twitter expert Samantha Kelly. Joining myself and Jen, we have Twitter expert Samantha Kelly. Hey Samantha, how's it going?
Hello there, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you very much for joining us today. So Samantha, will you tell us a bit about yourself and about your business?
Okay, well, I live in Wexford. I'm a mum of two, and 8 years ago I started a totally different business, and I needed to market that business, but I had no marketing budget. So my sister put me on Twitter one day, and I was like, what to do with this? Hadn't a clue. And I discovered that it was a fantastic platform for reaching a global audience and finding your niche and showing that you're the expert in your space. So I just took to Twitter. I used to use it at nighttime when the girls were in bed, and I discovered that that's actually the busiest time on Twitter as well. So I just kind of took to it, and then I learned as much as I could. To cut a long story short, I just found it naturally a great place to build relationships. And then I just kept going, and I wrote a book about it, and people started approaching me then. So I sold the first business, and people started approaching me, asking me for training and asking me how to use Twitter and could I manage their accounts because I didn't have time. And that's when I realized I had a business.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
That's brilliant altogether, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just very lucky, I suppose, that I happened to choose this niche, Twitter, because there were so many social media experts out there, but no one was kind of focusing on Twitter. There's like myself and two other ladies globally. There's one in the UK and one in America. We just happened to become the leaders in the Twitter space. And we're friends, we're allies. You know what I mean? We're not competitors at all because we're in different spaces, but it is a global network. So I've spoken all over the world about Twitter, and I'm known now, and I'm named in global lists. Like I think I'm number 28 on the Brand 24 digital marketeers list. Gary V is number 1, obviously.
Yeah.
But 28 is not bad for a lady sitting in her house in Rosslare Harbour. So
fair play.
No, that's amazing. And is it mostly Twitter that you would advocate for, or would you have you grown into other platforms more recently? Like, say, are you kind of a little bit more active on, say, LinkedIn and stuff now as well, or is Twitter kind of your core?
Well, do you know what? Twitter was my core, but now, yes, I am venturing into LinkedIn more. LinkedIn is becoming a little bit more human than it used to be. And the things that I'm doing on Twitter, I'm doing on LinkedIn, and they're working really well.
Yeah. Cool. Very good. And so we're going to just run through a few questions with you, I suppose, things that we're interested in Twitter and stuff. The one thing that we hear all the time is just that rumor that Twitter is dead, but it's definitely not. I think it's changed in the way people use it, definitely. So there has been a shift, but I think there's more of a shift than it's kind of becoming dead. What do you think?
Oh, it's definitely not dead. And I remember, when these people do these lists about the predictions for 2018 or whatever it was. And I remember loads of people had these predictions about video and AI and all of that stuff. And I was the only one that kind of mentioned, no, I think Twitter's going to up its game. Like I was just so confident. And then I was like, oh God, if this doesn't happen, I'm going to look like a right idiot. And you know what happened? I was right. So I was the only expert on that list that mentioned Twitter. So they kind of revisit the list at the end of the year. So it was really cool to see that. But Twitter is really, like, Jack is wonderful, the CEO of Twitter. I met him last week. Oh my God.
Oh, amazing.
I know, I was like a big fangirl. I was ridiculous. I was ridiculous. Very sweet man, very sweet, full of grace, lovely man, which most CEOs are anyway. But I knew that Twitter, because the power of, when a big world event happens, the power of Twitter for bringing live news as it happens is huge. I remember when, for example, right, okay, Cilla Black, remember she passed away. I remember going, I saw it on Twitter, and then I went on Sky News then, nothing on Sky News. And I was like, and took like 2 hours afterwards for Sky News to kind of start breaking news with that news. So, it's amazing. Journalists, there's so many journalists on Twitter as well. So, and politicians, like, they wouldn't be there if it was dead. They wouldn't be there. They need to be there. They need to keep their finger on the pulse. And a lot of decision makers and CEOs are on Twitter. And I discovered this through experience. I connected with a gentleman who's a lovely man. It just says he's a poet on his bio. And it turned out he was the head of a huge, great company that actually ended up sponsoring an event I did. So, you just do not know who these people are, because they would not show, like on LinkedIn, their role, but they use Twitter for more laid back kind of building relationships.
Yeah, sometimes people find it hard to strike that balance between personal and professional. I know I've definitely before just kind of gone, written a tweet about something personal and then gone, oh, but I've been tweeting about work all week. Where's the balance there? Do you know? Sometimes that can be a little bit hard, but it's when you find a job or a place at work where that balance is struck for you almost. I think that's when your Twitter kind of works.
Cool.
Do you know?
I think, look, people buy from people, okay? Especially for small business owners, Twitter is so powerful. And 78% of people will buy from a small business owner they've engaged with on Twitter. And if you are a small business owner, you've got to get yourself on Twitter, because that's the place where you can show that you are the expert in your niche. And that is the place where the decision makers are if you need to get contracts and workshops or whatever it is. And people don't seem to realize that this people to people thing, human, like, don't forget, the person who's reading that tweet is actually a human being, and so it's about how you make that person feel. So when you tweet, is this tweet going to add value? Is it going to make someone's day better? Is this going to attract a positive conversation or outcome? Is this going to make you look like the expert in your space? Like, are you going to help people? Because people that go to Twitter, they go to Twitter to be educated, to be entertained, obviously, as well. But, educated, entertained, and to see the latest news. So just to be aware, a lot of CEOs and decision makers are on Twitter to find out what's the latest news, to keep their finger on the pulse. So if your tweet is going to show something like that, that's going to do well. But to be honest, the best tweet I ever did that got the most engagement was when I got engaged.
Oh, brilliant.
Back to the personal again, people to people.
Back to the personal. But I think a lot of people, I often show it in my workshop, and I say, why do you think this tweet did so well? People on Twitter are aged 35 to 55. Okay, that's the demographic on Twitter. And the highest growing demographic are the over 55. Now, when you're over 55, chances are you've actually gone through a divorce, you've lost a relative, you've been through some kind of crap, right? So these people have been there, done that. They don't want to hang out with idiots. They want to hang out with good people. They want to be in a positive environment. You only hear what the media says about, like, the likes of a certain president tweeting, or you only hear the negative stuff on Twitter. You don't actually see the really, really, really good stuff, because that's not news. The really, really good stuff is what I try and promote, the positive stuff that's happening on Twitter. And people on Twitter love to help you. Like, if you put a post up, I don't know if you've ever put a post up and your sister or your friend has said, oh yeah, I saw that post, and you're like, well, why didn't you share it for me? Or why didn't you do something with the post when you saw it? Whereas on Twitter, you're more likely to get a retweet, you're more likely to get a share of something you're doing.
Yeah.
And Samantha, you just mentioned the negative comments and stuff like that, and I suppose with, as you mentioned, presidential and politics, there is a huge amount of negativity, I suppose, on the platform as well. How do you deal with that yourself?
Well, actually, I actually was involved in a political thing for a client, and I remember being on that particular person's Twitter and then going to mine and going, oh, thank God, I'm back to fluffy again. I think it's so much better to go back to my feed, because you can actually fine tune your feed anyway by using Twitter lists. I have a few Twitter lists, and one of them is called Cool People, if anyone wants to check it out. And they're people who genuinely do add value to Twitter that I really, really like. So you can have a look at those people and start following them, and surround yourself with the right people. I've had trolls. Just block them. Just block them.
Yeah.
You just don't want them in your feed. Now, there are people that might be horrible and do have lots of followers and do have a lot of people in their circle. But you know what? Even those circles, you don't want to hang out with them. So I've blocked several people who I just think, you know what? I've seen them hurt others, and I just don't want to be around them.
No.
You know?
I always like to think of my Twitter feed as like so carefully curated almost. I love my Twitter feed, and it's gotten to a point where it's a big decision for me to follow or unfollow someone or block someone, because I love my Twitter
It's an interview
feed.
process.
Oh, it's it's definitely curated perfectly for me. I don't know what I definitely don't look at my Facebook news feed for anything, and I look at my Instagram, but then for news or anything like that, anything in my space that I like is all curated nicely for me in my Twitter feed, definitely.
And do you use Twitter lists?
I don't. I used to a few years back, but I'm just so happy with my timeline at the moment. I haven't really needed to kind of branch off, but I definitely need to start looking into kind of making a good marketers list and stuff like that, just to kind of see what other people are doing in the space, especially just for learning kind of channel.
Yeah, you see, you could have a list of great experts. You could have a list of potential interviewees for the podcast. So you could have a list so that if you're stuck some week, you can just go into that list and say, actually, I wonder, is she free or is he free? And just actually tweet them or message them, and then say, look, we've been let down by a guest, just wondering, would you be able to jump in and do a podcast? So it's nice to build relationships with those people, so that if you did ask that question, they'd already be friends with you, and they'd already say, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
In terms of of companies being on Twitter, what do you think are some of the characteristics of those businesses or the individuals behind those businesses that make their Twitter accounts really stand out and really, grow and get attention? What are those main characteristics, do you think?
Well, helping others. Helping others is the big one. Supporting others. If I see a small business, maybe it only has 100 followers, I love actually to surprise and delight my customers, or surprise and delight my audience, right? So what I do is I go and I might find someone that only has like 100 followers, and they just put up like something on Etsy or something that's a special offer or something, and I retweet it, and they're like, oh my God, it's like $50,000. And I just love that feeling of adding something special to their day with just a click, and it's not something my audience might like. And it's happened several times where I've retweeted something and someone has gone, oh my God, this actually is a perfect gift for my mom. And then they go and buy it, so it's about humor, helping others. Humor is great. And even a corporate can have a sense of humor. An example I often talk about in my Twitter workshop is Justin Bieber, right? My daughter wanted to go to Justin Bieber concert, and we were on the Tree site and we were trying to book the ticket. And I don't know if any of you, if you have a teenager, you do have to do it right now, mommy, and it's like very stressful. And I was like, so I messaged Tree because I couldn't get onto the site, and I was like, oh my God, I can't get the tickets. Can you help me? And the girl replied and went, actually, it's not till tomorrow. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then Tree Mobile came back and said, is it too late for me to say sorry? And that was just so cool. Her name was Rachel, actually. I've met her since, would you believe, because she came to one of my events. But that example, I use it all the time, and I have no affiliation with Tree Mobile. I have nothing to do with Tree Mobile, but it was just a perfect example of a company coming back with a comeback that was funny and made my day. And here I am still talking about it 3 years later.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
I actually love Lidl on Twitter. Some people say Lidl, but they're absolutely. Had you followed them?
I don't follow Lidl. One that's always jumped out at me in America was Wendy's.
Oh yeah, they do.
And
Wendy's.
My God, they jump on. Everything going. It's impressive. It's very impressive, in fairness.
I think traffic is great. The Garda Twitter account is
great. It is actually. Yeah. I've started following that recently as well. It's very good.
They're actually adding value by putting up the serious stuff and letting people know, this person stopped for drunk driving or tire, or like it's giving you the information and the warnings that you need to look at. But also and weather and roads and all of that stuff. But it's also giving you that little bit of sense of humor as well. And the sense of humor is really, you can have a personality as a corporate on Twitter. And oh my God, there's so many corporates out there. I'd love to just, if I could get in front of them. And actually, some big companies that would, like if you're promoting an area like tourism, like as something like the small tourism, people in the tourism space, some of them are doing a really good job of promoting Ireland. Actually, there's a guy, Walt and Snoop, and he goes with his dog and he goes for a walk and he does a periscope while he's walking with his dog. And I just love that Twitter account. And I love to follow it because I love walking, and I discovered all these walks that I didn't know existed that are just up the road from me. And so I said to him, I live in Rosslare Harbour and I help with the Visit Rosslare Twitter account because we have a new coastal walk. So I messaged him, I said, Walt, would you come down to Wexford? Because he's in Carlow. I said, would you come down to Wexford? And I met him with my dog. And so we went down to Wexford. So if you look at the Visit Rosslare hashtag, you'll see our little meeting we had, and we went down for a walk on the beach. And that was bringing a relationship online, offline. And so myself and Walt have actually become quite good friends, but he's actually promoting Ireland to thousands and thousands of people all over the world because they're watching his videos every day. So he is a huge brand ambassador for Ireland. And there's another account, the world's smallest sheepdog. It's run by a lady in Carlow. And the editor of the New York Times put a tweet out saying, this is my new favorite Twitter account. So,
wow, fair play.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And do you think we'll say, like the tourism board, like those organizations are really taking advantage of social media at the moment?
No.
I think there's a fear with it.
You need to make a call.
There's so much more we could be doing to the people who are actually visiting as well. Like, we need to engage with those people when they're here so they'll come back. And that's the thing, engagement is missing. And it's just something that I don't think a lot of corporates understand, is that it's not an advertising platform. You need to engage with the people who are, if I retweet your tweet, like so many people tag me in photos, and I'm like, okay, sorry, who are you? Like, I mean, people tag me and I'm like, they've never even followed me, they haven't engaged with me, they just probably heard, oh, this girl will probably retweet it. I don't mind retweeting someone and helping them out, but not all the time when you've never even retweeted one of my tweets. So it's about reciprocation as well. So, I often say to new clients, we need to find your audience, but we need to help them too. So we need to help the hardware store up the road. We need to help the people in the area, because when we do that, the minute we put something up, guess who's going to retweet us?
Yeah.
You mentioned Twitter ads there, and I suppose ourselves, we do a huge amount of work on like Google ads and Facebook ads and Instagram ads. What do you think of the Twitter ad platform itself, and what are your experiences with it? And I suppose, do you find it gets results?
Okay. I have asked Twitter for training in this because I haven't found results. Okay. And I would not recommend Twitter ads at the moment. However, I haven't learned how to use them right myself. So I think training is essential. So I've asked for training so I can show people how to use it effectively. But I haven't found them I haven't found them good.
Yeah.
Facebook ads very effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, we find that as well a little bit with Twitter. We wouldn't hugely kind of say to many clients that they should push a budget into Twitter, unless now for some unusual reason that is the perfect platform for them. Do you know, that kind of way? But we even
I know if I see a Twitter ad, for example, I won't click on it. No,
and I usually mute them.
Yeah, you see? Yeah. So there's the thing. Twitter's not about that. Twitter's about engaging, and it's nearly like, oh, you're cheating. You have an ad. Like, you're not just wait till I come to you naturally, or wait till you get my attention naturally. And that's the way it looks. Yeah.
It's a real organic platform.
Yeah.
The only thing about it is that I find quite interesting is the targeting abilities are quite interesting on it. I mean, you can directly put in the handle of your competitor and target their followers, which is a lovely thing to do. But then when you put that out into those feeds, the other side of it is those people don't want you in their feeds. They haven't followed you. They haven't asked for you to be in their feed. So you're just making a very quick assumption there, shoving yourself in your competitor's feed. But at the same time, that's a great feature to be able to show up in your competitor's feed.
There's something about it. It's a very, very different environment than like Facebook or Instagram.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
It is. Look, Twitter is all about, Twitter is about, because it's only 280 characters, the people on Twitter, don't forget, are there because it was 140 characters. So the people want you to get their attention with just that many characters. Like, you need to be creative to be on Twitter. You need to have a personality. If you're an idiot offline, you're going to be an idiot online. So you need to be a good person, good with people, adding value, so in the first place, you don't need to do an ad if you're thinking outside the box and being creative.
Yeah, that's true.
And what kind of, you mentioned your post and your engagement earlier was like one of your highest performing tweets.
Yes.
What kind of types of content? Is it always like the really personal stuff you think is always the highest performing content, or have you found other types of content that perform really well?
Oh, well, anytime I put up tips, video is very powerful. Twitter Live is extremely powerful, because if you are doing Twitter Live, your followers get notified at the top left-hand corner of your phone, if you're on your phone, that you've gone live. And that's really powerful. A lot of people don't realize that. So if I go live, I will get a lot of viewers popping in. Another one, I have 11,000 views on a tweet I did yesterday and a video I took of my daughter on Ireland AM. So 11,000 views from yesterday morning. That's pretty cool. And that means more people are seeing my daughter and all that kind of stuff, because she's a personal trainer and she's with Face the Fear, which is she's a brand ambassador for. So it was great for Face the Fear as well. So I'm helping several people there, and Ireland AM as well. That way. So it's powerful. Twitter video is so powerful. So giving tips, if you're giving a tip by video, it's a really, really powerful thing to do on Twitter.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So I suppose that's the kind of the main the positive, we'll say, of what content to use. From a negative side, what do you see people doing and you're like, you were doing this completely wrong? What are the biggest mistakes you see companies making on Twitter?
Giving out about others
Okay.
in code, which people can see and they're not stupid. Bitching about others because, just don't say it. I mean, and some of these people can be actually people in the social media space, which is funny, because people are watching all the time. They send me screenshots. They might not tag me, but I know who people are, and people are watching all the time, and they're not stupid. But also, I find bigger companies, they just concentrating on the sale, and you can drive fantastic traffic to your website from Twitter, and you can get sales from Twitter. You can. People seem to think you can't. You can, absolutely. Do the tweet right. Put a photograph in, tag people, but people who you already build a relationship with. So it takes about 3 months to build trust on Twitter. So let's say I got a new client, I would say, well, nothing's probably going to happen until 3 months' time. And a lot of people don't want to invest that kind of time. And it's about building relationships, building your community around you. And community is key, and community is huge now because it's coming back big time. It's the new currency. Once you have a community of engaged people around you, they are people who have already bought into you as such. So if you have a message that they like, they will share it out to their friends. People are going to listen to you before they'll listen to someone else. So if you have, there's lots of micro influencers, like people talk about influencer marketing, and it's always around Instagram. And yet, there I am on Twitter with 50,000 people, and most of them are female entrepreneurs, most of them are small business owners, and a lot of them would be authors. And you can go into your analytics, your Twitter analytics, and see who your audience are, and you can build an audience according to what you need to have around you. Like I have a client who's in the travel space, and we looked at the analytics, and there was like dogs, people that are following the travel company were into dogs, were into the weather, which is a good one, yes. But travel was not on that list. But now travel, people who are interested in travel, is high up on that list. And that's what you want to do. You want to get the right audience around you, a community. So definitely, the thing I would see is that companies don't get this. They don't understand it's about the people, and it's about engaging with these people. And when you engage with your customers and surprise and delight your customers, by saying hello, by engaging with them, you will get the sale. I know this because it happened to me. I was running the first Twitter account I ran, actually, when I realized I was actually quite good at it, was Whites of Wexford. And I went into their notifications. So I just went straight to notifications, straight into who had been in Whites before. And I saw this lady, Mary, from Tipperary, and I just jumped in. I saw what she was up to, and it turned out she was doing some kind of sale of work or cake sale that weekend or something. So I just jumped in and I went, oh, hi Mary, you're the best to look at the cake sale. And they were like, oh my God, White to Wexford just tweeted me, and asked me about my. So she was delighted, started chatting, saying, oh my God, I'm going back down to Wexford sometime. And, oh, do you have any special offers at the moment? And I said, yeah, here you go. Put the link up. Bam. She booked a midweek break with her husband.
Brilliant.
That's brilliant, fantastic. Yeah.
And do you think there's any particular industries or sectors that work better on Twitter than others? Is there specific, or individuals for that matter, that what areas they're working in that Twitter is the platform for them, even above Facebook, above Instagram?
I think food is great. The food industry, restaurants, anything that shows that you're the expert. So actually, any industry. I had a client in Belfast, a solicitors, and they wanted their targets were small business owners, and I said, well, why don't you create something special where they can meet every week online on Twitter? So we created Belfast Hour, and Belfast Hour is one of the most popular hashtags on Twitter at the moment, and it's on Thursday night from 9 to 10 p.m. It's still going strong for 5 years. They had their 5-year birthday last week. So it's about building a community around you. So the solicitors wanted to be a bit more cool. Do you know what I mean? On Twitter. So that's how they are cool, because they're the founders of Belfast Hour. And so it's about connecting yourself to the right community and aligning yourself with that message of that you're helping business owners by creating a community around them. Another example, there's lots of examples. There's Irish Wedding Chat, there's Irish Health Hour, people in the health space. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you have a personality and if you have something to add value, it doesn't matter what industry you're in: construction, accounting. Big Red Cloud, I was they hired me there when they were doing the Sponsor for a Day campaign. So they needed votes to be the sponsor, and the Sponsor for a Day campaign was run by Bank of Ireland. And what they do as a prize, they get their logo on the rugby shirt for the Leinster match or whatever. Now, I haven't a clue about rugby, right? But I do know about Twitter. So I started just engaging, and I said, well, what are you putting out so far? And they said, well, accounting, online software, it's not very sexy. But I said, well, your clients are, small business owners, and your allies would be accountants. And so I started engaging with all the small business owners and putting up stuff like tips, like what do small business owners want? They want to learn how to be more successful and get more sales and all of that stuff. So we started putting up tips on how to use Instagram, a business plan, how to do a business plan, all of this stuff that's useful. So when you add value, the customers will come and the audience will come. And then when you want to vote, they're going to vote for you. So they actually did win Sponsor for a Day, not because just of me, but it did help. And I have to say, I was very proud to see the logo on the rugby jersey that day. So I kind of went, oh my God, I helped make that happen, which is really cool,
Yeah, that's amazing.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So I suppose, look, Samantha, to kind of wrap up, is there, if you were talking to a business and if they haven't really ventured out onto Twitter yet, what would be, you think, for them the key takeaway that what they can achieve for their business using Twitter? Obviously, as you said, look, the main goal for these businesses is going to be increasing sales. But from what I get for you, the most important thing is building that community and helping people, basically.
Yeah, and adding value. What can you, so you think about it, okay, why are you going on Twitter? Are your audience on Twitter? If they're younger, they might not be on Twitter or Instagram. You have to find out, first of all, who is your customer? Are they likely to be on Twitter? If they're small business owners, they're on Twitter, okay? So, don't forget how I started. Remember, I had no marketing budget. So don't forget, most small business owners wouldn't have huge marketing budgets, and they can actually get ahead of the big guys from being personal and having that personal touch. So, the first thing I would think about is make sure that you have a professional photo. People buy from people. So if you are a small business owner, you could have your logo in the header, but use your photo in the avatar. And fill in your bio, make it easy for people to contact you, and start adding value and start following people who are maybe just like you, the kind of people you want in your community. Don't just follow celebrities. They're probably never going to follow you back. but start following people who are active, like the micro influencers, people who I'm hanging out with. Follow me and ask me, look, I want to connect with such and such. Can you help me? I'll help you. You know, I love that part of how I've been so successful is because people know that I will help people, you know. It only takes me a click, whereas, you know, it might take someone ages to look for these people, you know. So, yeah, help others really and add value.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much, Samantha.
Yeah.
That's been really, really informative. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Brilliant. That has been this week's episode of the Digital Marketing Scoop.
Bye.